One thing I've told my kids over the years is that I think I mentioned this rote memorization, right? It's no longer needed, right? It's their job when they go to school is to ask good questions. It's to evaluate the information that they're being given. And a great example of this is a young man, Jaiden, right? And Jaiden, I don't know the story in detail. I know you know it more, but just to introduce it, is a young man out of Colorado. A video of him and his mom talking to some of the school administrators. He was pulled out of class and eventually kicked out of school because he had the Gadsden flag on his backpack, and they said that it was rooted in slavery, I believe. And
Yep.
the video is the mom and even Jaden there educating these school administrators that, hey, it's not based in slavery; it's actually based out of I think revolution, yeah, British tyranny. And so
Right.
just a great piece to it, but man, I think you got some great publicity out of that because I remember seeing a follow-up video with them interviewing Jaden independently, and they said, "Hey, where'd you get this education?" And he gave credit to his mom. He said, "Hey, my mom, great influence on me, but also I read the Tuttle Twins by Connor Boyack." So, man, give us a little bit of background. How's that been as far as exposure been for you?
So here's a kid, Jaiden, who's been reading the Tuttle Twins books for about 4 years, and very patriotic kid. He loves America. He loves, the First Amendment. He especially loves the Second Amendment. And so he's got a bag with all these patches, and he, expressing his interest in things. And yeah, the teacher complained. The vice principal in the video claimed that the Gadsden flag has origins in slavery and therefore is a disruption to the classroom environment, and that Jaiden would not be welcome to return unless and until he removed the patch. Well, as you saw in the video, flat out wrong, totally wrong. So nonetheless, they get kicked out. Jaiden gets kicked out. Mom is driving him home. He turns to his mom and he says, "Hey, in one of those Tuttle Twins books, when the Twins had a political problem, with the government, they got the media involved. Do you think we could get the media involved?" And the mom's like, "All right," literally detours and drives him over to the local TV station, where Jaiden gets out, goes up to the front doorbell, the little security doorbell, rings the bell, and asks if he can talk to a reporter to share his story. No one would talk to him. So later that night, they're figuring out what to do because he wanted to stand up for himself. He saw this as an opportunity to defend his rights. And so the mom messages me on Twitter. I never knew who they were. They just, she reaches out cold and shoots me a DM on Twitter and says, "Hey, my son's your biggest fan. We love your books. Here's what happened. My son wants to stand up for himself. Do you think you could help us spread the word?" She shares the video with me. I'm in Chicago at a conference in a jazz club listening to this amazing, jazz. I get this DM and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gold. Like I immediately knew this video would go viral. So with her permission, I shared it the following morning on Twitter. Now, within a week or two total, it's got about 50 million combined views across social media. It just massively blew up. The interview you're mentioning was with Ben Shapiro on the Daily Wire, where Ben was like, "Yeah, you seem to," after they had talked for several minutes, he's like, "You seem to know a lot about history and have a lot of, opinions and views. How have you learned so much?" And he said, "My mom and Connor Boyack with his Tuttle Twins books." So I actually went out to Colorado last weekend with my wife, and we visited with Jaiden. I'm gonna let's see if we can pull up a photo here. So here's if you throw that on the screen, this is a photo that I took with Jaiden. We created these custom shirts that say "Don't tread on me," but instead of the snake, we've got a picture of his backpack, which was which we're holding right there. And on the lower right of the backpack, you can see there's the Gadsden flag patch. That's the one that they were critiquing. And so I made shirts for Jaiden and his siblings, and we had breakfast with them together. It was a lot of fun to spend that time together. But here's a kid who knew about his rights, and then he was prepared to stand up for them. I want to create a million more Jaidens. I want to make sure that we can educate kids about all these ideas so that when they're presented with opportunities, whether they're 12 or 42 down the road, that they know what their rights are. Imagine if you have shared property, or you have a next door neighbor and you both have your front lawns connected, but you don't quite know, excuse me, you don't quite know where the property boundary is. Let's say the county records got destroyed or you've never looked. So the neighbor is a filthy guy, and he starts, he's got old car tires and trash, and it's starting to spill over more and more into what you think is your yard. But if you don't actually know where that boundary exists, you lack the ability to really check the advance and say, hey, this far and no further. That is the problem with our rights. If we don't understand them, we can't defend them, and they will be encroached upon more and more and more. And so we have to know where those lines are. Where are the boundaries? What are our rights? 12-year-old kids can understand them. He's been reading this since he was 8. And so we can do that with our kids too. We can inform them, but we have to, whether it's our books or you want to do it on your own, but we have to have those conversations. We have to simplify these ideas. We have to use storytelling so that it's fun for kids to learn. And these ideas will stick in. I've seen it so many times, so many stories across the country. Jaiden's is, now the most prominent of the stories, but he's not alone. And there are many other circumstances where kids have been able to kind of put into practice the ideas that they've learned because they've been reading them for a while.
You want to see the entire episode? Click here. If you want to learn how investors use infinite banking to increase their returns and lower their taxes, click here. If you want to see if infinite banking is for you and you have some questions, hop on a discovery call with us and one of our coaches. The link for that will be in the description.